Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization, text number 25. Andakoshe shariresmin Saptavarna samyute Vairajah purusho yosau Bhagavan dharanashrayah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation: the gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virat conception. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Simultaneously, the Lord has multifarious other forms, and all of them are identical with the original fountainhead form of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it has been proven that the original transcendental and eternal form of the Lord is Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead. But by His inconceivable internal potency, Atma Maya, He can expand Himself by multifarious forms and incarnations simultaneously without being diminished in His full potency. He is complete, and although innumerable complete forms emanate from Him, He is still complete without any loss. That is His spiritual or internal potency. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead Lord Krishna manifested His Virat Rupa just to convince the less intelligent class of men who cannot conceive of the Lord as appearing just like a human being, that He factually has the potency of His claim to be the Supreme Absolute Person without any rival or superior. Materialistic men can think, although very imperfectly, of the huge universal space comprehending an innumerable number of planets as big as the sun. They can see only the circular sky overhead without any information that this universe, as well as many other hundreds of thousands of universes, are each covered by sevenfold material coverings of water, fire, air, sky, ego, nominal, and material nature, just like a huge football, pumped and covered, floating on the water of the causal ocean, wherein the Lord is lying as Mahavishnu. All the universes in seed are emanating from the breathing of the Mahavishnu, who is but part of a partial expansion of the Lord, and all the universes presided over by the Brahmas vanish when the Mahavishnu withdraws his great breath. In this way, the material worlds are being created and vanished by the supreme will of the Lord. The poor, foolish materialist can just imagine how ignorantly he puts forward an insignificant creature to become his rival incarnation, simply on the allegations of a dying man. The Virat Rupa was particularly exhibited by the Lord just to give lessons to such foolish men, so that one can accept a person as the incarnation of Godhead only if such a person is able to exhibit such a Virat Rupa as Lord Krishna did. The materialistic person may concentrate his mind upon the Virat or gigantic form of the Lord in his own interest and as recommended by Shukadeva Goswami. But he must be on his guard not to be misled by pretenders who claim to be the identical person as Lord Krishna but are not able to act like him or exhibit the Virat Rupa, comprehending the whole of the universe. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So this is the beginning of the second canto. In the first chapter, Shukadeva Goswami begins to speak to Parikshit Maharaj. And this chapter is entitled The First Step in God Realization. So what is that first step in God realization is described in these verses. It begins with the description of this, taking the first step, begins with verse number 23. I'll just read the verse 23 and 24 translations to give you a background for today's verse. Shukadeva Goswami answered. He's answering Parikshit Maharaj. One should control the sitting posture, regulate the breathing process by the yogic pranayama, and thus control the mind and senses, and with intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord called the Virat Rupa. So this is the first step in God realization. After practicing the different steps in what is called as the system of Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. These are the first four. So, one should control the sitting posture, means the proper asana, regulate the breathing process by the yogic pranayama, which is pranayama, and thus control the mind and senses, and with intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord. The Lord has got many different energies, and his material energy consists of both gross and subtle material energies. So the gross material potency is consisting of the five elements: earth, water, fire, air and sky. And one should first begin to meditate on the Virat Rupa, or the universal form of the Supreme Lord, which is actually consisting of these five gross elements. Five gross elements made of, the gross elements are earth, water, fire, air and sky. And one should apply the mind to this universal form with the help of the intelligence. And how to do that is further described. In the 24th verse, Srila Shukadeva Goswami says, this gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal world as a whole, gigantic means it's very, very huge, it's very, very big, is the biggest conception of a form, material form in this entire creation, which is the whole universe itself is a form of the Lord. As you know, the universe consists of many different planets, and the planets are having so many different living entities, innumerable living entities. So this entire universe consisting of the planets and the living entities on the planets is described here as a manifestation of the phenomenal material world. Now, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, Srila Prabhupada translates one particular verse. The 2nd verse of the 7th chapter, he uses this word phenomenal and nominal for jnanam and vijnanam. The verse is jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshami asheshatah yajñatva neha bhuyonyat jnatavyam avashishyate. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, I shall declare unto you in full this knowledge of the absolute truth. Both two kinds of knowledge, jnana and vijnana. Now, Srila Prabhupada specifically translates jnana and vijnana as phenomenal and nominal. These are technical terms. And only Srila Prabhupada can translate like this. Because he is realized soul and he is receiving the knowledge in parampara. So, phenomenal knowledge means the knowledge that we perceive using our senses. This is called phenomenal knowledge. And nominal knowledge is knowledge of the reality behind what we perceive using our senses. Simple example can be given. We learn from the Bhagavad Gita, we are not this body. We are spirit soul. So, when we see a person, we cannot see the spirit soul with our senses. But what we can see is the body. We can see the body, but we cannot see the spirit soul. So, knowledge of the person in terms of the body is called phenomenal knowledge, that which we perceive using our present senses. And nominal knowledge is knowledge of the person as spirit soul. Obviously, the spirit soul we cannot perceive using our present senses. So this is the difference. It's a philosophical term, phenomenon and nominal. Another simple example can be given. Just like if you are using an electric heater. So electric heater, the real cause of the heat that you're getting from the electric heater is the electricity that is flowing in that heater. But what you can see as emitting heat is the coil of that nichrome wire, which you can see is red hot and is emitting heat. So to our senses, what seems to be the source of this heat is that coil. And that's what we can see. But in reality, it is not the coil which is actually emitting heat. It is the electricity which is actually the source of this heat. So, knowledge of the source of this heat as electricity is called nominal knowledge. The reality, the actual fact, the truth behind what is manifested to our senses, which is the electric coil. Like this, so many examples we can say. that the reality may not be what we perceive or what we see with our senses always. And as far as God is concerned, God can only be known through nominal knowledge and can never be known through phenomenal knowledge. In simple terms, phenomenal knowledge means material knowledge, and nominal knowledge means spiritual knowledge. But then again, the spiritual knowledge is understood, the spiritual knowledge of the absolute truth is explained in the Bhagavatam as consisting of 3 phases of understanding, 3 features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, one who goes through a step-by-step process of realizing God or the absolute truth goes through first realizing the Brahman feature, then the Paramatma feature, and then the Bhagavan feature. So, in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, Srila Shukadev Goswami describes these 3 features in the first 3 chapters of the second canto. So, in the first chapter of the second canto, he describes the Brahman feature of the absolute truth or of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The Brahman feature is perceivable by us in this material world as the universal form of Krishna, which is the form of Krishna as the whole universe. But this universe actually is not the person Krishna, but it is his material energy which is manifested as this whole universe. Therefore, this 24th verse says, this gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world. Phenomenal means that which we can perceive with our senses. This material world consisting of the planets and each planet having so many living beings and other material objects. As a whole is the personal body of the absolute truth. Personal body means it is not anyone else's body, it is Krishna's own body. Krishna's body, which is the body of the absolute truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present and future of material time is experienced. This, whatever we see now, whenever we see something material, we are perceiving only the present. With our ordinary vision or ordinary senses, material senses, we cannot see the past, we cannot see the future. So, to be able to see the past, present, and future requires spiritual knowledge, requires spiritual understanding. So, to see the past, present, and future is possible only by nominal knowledge, vijnana, and by phenomenal knowledge or material knowledge or jnana, as described in 7.2 of Bhagavad Gita, we can only see the present. And even the present we cannot see completely because of our limitation. Our senses are limited. Our mind is limited. Our intelligence is limited. So, because of the limitation of our material body itself, we can only see the present and we can see a small portion of the present which is perceivable by our senses. Whereas here, the description is the Virat Rupa is the complete universe, which is the complete body of the Supreme Lord Krishna in this material world, manifested as the whole universe, consists of the past, present and future. The same thing is told in the Bhagavad Gita in the 11th chapter, when Arjuna requests Krishna, can you show me the form in which you have entered into this whole universe? It is actually a question asked by Arjuna based on the last verse of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So the last verse of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, there is no need to try to understand the different forms in which Krishna is present in this material world, material forms. Krishna describes 82 different material forms on the request of Arjuna in the 10th chapter, which is called Opulence of the Absolute, the 10th chapter. And Lord Krishna concludes that description by telling, actually, I have given you just a sample of the different forms in which I am present in this material world. Actually, my opulence is limitless in that I am present in unlimited forms, even in the material world. Unlimited material forms. Unlimited material forms. So what are these unlimited material forms? All forms of matter, including the bodies of the living entities, material bodies, are actually nothing but the universal form of the Lord. So the sum total of all matter, which we can see as different forms, material forms, in completeness is the universal form of Krishna, Virat Rupa. This Virat Rupa has got something beyond our comprehension called time and space. Time is one energy that is working in the material world, which is bringing about all the changes. Kala. And therefore, because Kala consists of past, present and future, Kala means the time which is actually inclusive of past, present and future. But we, as conditioned souls, we cannot comprehend the past and the future. We can only comprehend the present. So therefore, the universal form is not comprehensible by us with our present senses or our limited mind and intelligence. But still, the description is there in the scriptures, like the Bhagavatam and other scriptures also, of what is that universal form, Virat Rupa, which consists of past, present and future. The entirety of time, and also consists of the space, which is what is one of the elements of the matter itself. The whole universe spread across such a gigantic part of space. And that is also, one universe is not the totality of space. Actually, space consists of millions and billions of universes. Millions and billions of universes. So when we say universal form, because we cannot even conceive all the universes together as the material creation of the Lord, therefore the description is given about one universe. The description Shukadeva Goswami is going to give of the universal form of the Lord is, he is only going to describe one universe. Because that's our limitation. But in reality, the universal form of the Lord is the sum total of all the universes in the entirety of the material creation. And therefore, it is inconceivable for us, the universal form. But still, for the sake of meditation by the neophytes, by the beginners of the process of self-realization, Shukadeva Goswami describes the universal form in terms of one universe. So in the verse under discussion today, Srila Shukadeva Goswami says, the gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell. Each universe is like an egg, anda. And within this body of the universal shell, there is the form of the Supreme Lord called the Virat Rupa or Vishwa Rupa. In Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter is called Vishwa Rupa, and here it's called Virat Rupa in the Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter. The same thing. This Virat Rupa is the subject for the Virat conception. To conceive this dharana. Dharana is like something like imagination. It's not imaginary, it's real, but it is like trying to fix the mind on this form which we can conceive using our intelligence. What is this conceiving? To give a crude example for conceiving, supposing I send somebody to the railway station. Of course not, nowadays this doesn't work like that. We have got mobile phones for communication. Go back to the era when there were no mobile phones. So if I had to send somebody to the railway station to bring a person whom I know, but the person who's going doesn't know, has not seen, or even if the person knows, it has not seen. So I will describe the person and say, go to the station and receive him and bring him to my house. So I will try to describe the person. He's tall or he's short, he's stout or he's... So many ways I'll describe how he looks. And the person who is hearing and trying to go to fetch my guest in the railway station is conceiving within his mind whatever I am describing. And that conception he carries to the station, and he is looking at people coming out of the station from a train, because thousands of people come by train. So he's trying to match that person he's seeing with the conception, conceived form. So this is not imagination. It is like imagination, but it is not imagination. It's reality. So Shukadeva Goswami is going to give a description for the sake of the meditator of the universal form of the Lord, Virat Rupa meditation, to conceive in the mind. And after conceiving it in the mind, according to this description, one has to apply one's intelligence to actually fix the mind on this Virat Rupa conception and perform meditation on this Virat Rupa meditation, Virat Rupa dhyana, for the sake of realizing the Brahman feature of the Absolute Truth. So in the purport of this 25th verse, of course I have not covered the other portion of the translation. Now Shukadeva Goswami says that the universal shell, within the universal shell, the whole universe is like an egg. Egg has got an outside shell and inside there is some stuff, what's called the yolk. So like that, this universe has got a shell, and within the universal shell, the universal form of the Lord has got 7 coverings. 7 coverings are there for the universal form. That means, if we say the universe consists of, what is perceived by us is universe consists of so many planets, all the planets together are covered by 7 layers of covering. So the layers of covering, Srila Prabhupada explains, the 7 layers are made up of, the first layer is the water layer. First there is a covering of water. Then there is a covering of fire beyond the water covering. Now each covering is 10 times bigger than the previous covering. The diameter of this universe is described as 4 billion miles in the scriptures. So the water covering is thick, covering of water of all the planets. The first covering of the universe is 40 billion miles thick. 4 billion miles itself we cannot conceive. So what can we think of? What can we conceive of? 40 billion miles thick of covering of water. Then the next covering of fire is 400 billion miles thick. Second covering. Then the third covering is made up of air. So there is a air layer of covering 4,000 billion miles thick. In short, it is not possible for us to conceive of the universe with its coverings. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami will describe just one universe, and he doesn't describe the coverings. He says there are 7-fold coverings. You concentrate on the actual form that you can conceive within the coverings. And that is what he is going to describe from verse 26 onwards. So, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that Lord Krishna displayed his universal form to Arjuna in order to help us understand that even though the original form of the Supreme Lord looks like a human form, God is not a human being. God is God. Krishna is Krishna. But he has got unlimited potencies. He's got unlimited potencies. And he displayed a small fraction of his unlimited potencies when he showed Arjuna the universal form. Therefore, Krishna showed the universal form, and Sanjaya could see the universal form, and Sanjaya described that universal form to Dhritarashtra. And that is what we read in the Bhagavad Gita, Sanjaya's description. Vyasadeva is recording the Bhagavad Gita. And Vyasadeva is recording the Bhagavad Gita as Krishna spoke to Arjuna. But Vyasadeva is recording in terms of what was seen, heard and understood by Sanjaya, because Dhritarashtra asked a question in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra's question: what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do after having assembled to fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? So what Sanjaya described to Dhritarashtra, what's happening, the initial portion of that description, even before the battle actually has begun, what happened? That is the Bhagavad Gita. And Sanjaya's description of the universal form, what Sanjaya saw, is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So this description obviously is very difficult to understand or comprehend for us. But in the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami gives a practical method of conceiving this universal form to a beginner meditator, to help him realize by meditation on the universal form the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. So the description will be given from verse 26 onwards till the end of the chapter. So I'll stop here. Any questions anybody has got? Just please ask the question in the mic. Yeah.
What actions or leelas will be done by the cosmic form of the Lord? That's Rupa, Virata Rupa, which we are speaking. Is it just stagnant or just guiding, or is it having some specific roles and actions being performed apart from Lord Mahavishnu or Krishna?
What are the activities of the universal form of the Lord?
Yes.
Actually, the universal form is the universe itself. Universe means so many activities are going on. Material activities are going on in the universe. Okay? Now, Bhagavad Gita explains all material actions are carried out by the material nature consisting of the three gunas. Prakrite kriyamanani Gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Actually, all material activities are carried out by material nature through the three gunas. But only because of false ego, the conditioned soul thinks, I am the doer of some material action which I think I am doing, which is actually carried out by material nature. To give an example, I want to lift my hand, I lift my hand. So when I want to lift my hand, I think I am lifting my hand. But actually what is happening? Material nature is lifting this hand. So to understand this, Krishna explains how to understand that actually all material activities are carried out by material nature and not by the person who thinks he or she is doing the action. In the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, verses 13, 14, 15, 16, you study these 4 verses, it will explain to you how we can understand material nature is carrying out the material actions, but we think we are doing it. Any other question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is the Lord is in the form of energy or is a personality?
Lord is the Supreme Person and He has many, many energies. Together, the Lord with His energies is the absolute truth. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. So you explained that as a human being we cannot conceive the past and future. Future is understandable, but why we cannot perceive the past? Because it is already happened. We can comprehend this.
You cannot comprehend the past in terms of what you perceive with your senses, mind and intelligence. In that sense, there is a history recorded. Recorded history contains something about the past. We can know something about the past from the recorded history. But it just, hearing or reading, that's all. You cannot conceive the way you are conceiving what is happening in present. Just like now you are definitely perceiving what is happening in this hall because you're present in this hall, and with your senses you can see, you can hear, you can conceive. But if you are to conceive now what you're seeing, what has happened already in this hall yesterday or day before or even 1 hour before this class began, you cannot. You may be able to understand or get knowledge by actually getting a description which is recorded or videoed nowadays. Video. Somebody sends you a video. Yesterday you could not attend. The person was attending and he was recording and he sends you a video. Oh, yesterday what happened? I could not attend. So then you can see. Yes. But you cannot conceive using your present senses. Being in the present time, you cannot conceive the past. Any other question? Yes? Can you give the mic this side, Mataji's side?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam. Prabhu, first you told that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. That's the first step. And followed by that, if a person realizes that, he gains a spiritual master. I hope that's correct, wisdom readings. So there are so many people like they know that they are not this body and they are the spirit soul, at least as age advances, when they are crossing their 40s or 50s, and they go to some temple of their choice based on their consciousness, and they attend the regular deity worships there. But for a long time, even after they are practicing for years, like 5-6 years, they are not able to gain a bona fide spiritual master. Like they stay in that. So what makes them stagnant there? Like, I'm not telling they are surrendering right to Krishna. Yes, they have the Krishna bhakti, but they'll be surrendering to some demigods or some Govinda, some like Narasimha, some people Govinda. But they go for deity worship, but they don't move towards the second step of gaining a bona fide spiritual master. Yet, even to get that first step, that I'm not the body but the spirit soul, spiritual master is still there. Some spiritual master is there, but they are not able to identify. The some bona fide spiritual master is backing them up. Okay, that was my personal experience, because I saw Prabhupada even before, I could recognize that Prabhupada was in my life a decade ago, even before I surrendered to him through my father. And then I got to know it was Prabhupada playing the Leela in my life. But how to make the people who are just in deity worship not moving to the second step, like, first is what is making them not moving to the second step, recognizing, and the thing as a little neophyte preachers to whatever extent we know, how can we help those people to move forward towards connecting them to bona fide spiritual master?
Actually, the quest for the absolute truth or quest for God is the beginning of spiritual life, yes. But generally, the material conception most of us have is that I can use my senses, my mind, my intelligence, or I can gather knowledge and I can realize, I can understand, I can comprehend what the absolute truth is. When we come to the stage that it is not possible for me to know or to realize the absolute truth by my own senses, my endeavors, my senses, my mind, my intelligence, I cannot. That is when you feel the need for another person, another help at least. So, a sincere seeker is guided by the Paramatma within the heart. So, scriptures say, by the mercy of Paramatma we get Guru, and by the mercy of Guru we realize Paramatma, God. So, they have to come to the stage where they understand their inability or their limitation. We are limited, we are very, very tiny, we are insignificant. So there's no possibility on my own, either individually or even collectively, we can ever comprehend or realize or understand what the truth is, absolute truth is. So all those who understand the need for accepting a spiritual master have realized their limitation. So until they accept their limitation or inability, they will not feel the need for a spiritual master. Okay? I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.